It's pretty obvious I grew up black.
He black.
In a black neighborhood in Middletown, Ohio. And somehow I made it all the way into adulthood without really knowing anything about Juneteenth. Not because I hated history or because my parents failed me. I just honestly don't remember hearing anybody teaching it while I was growing up. School definitely didn't talk about it. And the church I went to, they weren't going to talk about it. The first time I really saw Juneteenth, Nikki and I went to Memphis. And we were walking around off of Beale Street. And all of a sudden, we see a car show with black drivers standing around. We see a stage with a black woman reciting poetry and black families shopping and standing around and applauding the poet. Everybody was celebrating something I honestly knew nothing about. And I vividly remember thinking, how did I grow up black in America and not know what this is? 4 titles, 1 truth. I'm Tommie.
And I'm Lance. Today's conversation is, why didn't anybody teach us about Juneteenth? Let's get into it.
All right. So how did you, a black man that grew up in East St. Louis, and yes, he's black, y'all. How did you go through school? How did you serve in the military and still barely know anything about Juneteenth?
They didn't talk about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, if you don't know, if they don't say anything to you, then you don't know about it. I can vaguely remember hearing one of my uncles saying something about Juneteenth, you know, but it was kind of like in a jokingly type of way. I don't know what they were talking about, but I remember hearing the word, but not knowing what it actually pertained to. Yeah, what it meant. So.
Yeah, just the same. I always thought Juneteenth was somebody trying to be funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know how symbolic it was. I didn't know the story behind it. And then when President Biden made it a holiday, I had known about it then. But one thing that disappointed me was the fact that just like Black History Month and just like all of the other months for the different races that we have in this country, the people that need to know about it don't really pay too much attention to it. You know, so that's
the significance of it. I mean, that's just how significant that was, that these folks for 2 years
continued being a slave without even having an idea that they were free. Yeah.
So what parts of Black history do you remember being taught growing up? And looking back now, what parts were completely missing?
So when you say taught, it just depends, right? If you're talking about school, right?
Well, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, if you're talking about school, it was Martin Luther King was good. Malcolm X was bad. The Nation of Islam was bad. And the Black Panthers were terrorists. That's what I remember, right? And that's with the presidents talking. That's with the news on, and that was the takeaway that I got that way. If you're talking about at home and in the neighborhood, still Martin Luther King, because huge, right? But the main thing I remember with him is Selma, and then I remember this Million Man March, and then I remember his speech, and then I remember his assassination. Not that I was alive then, but those were the talking points when it came to Martin Luther King.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I remember. Yeah. It's the civil rights movement,
and everything was grouped in that.
I mean, and it was just that particular subject, not some, all of the other things about the inventions,
not the
the contributions
that we deserve,
all of that that we weren't taught.
Yeah,
they weren't in encyclopedias. So
they were in some. I do remember they were there, but once again, you don't know, especially your kid, and you're trying to, you're what you're studying is what school talks about. So
you don't know specifics and
exactly.
the right words to look up,
Where to look,
especially
absolutely.
when you're looking. If you don't know what an encyclopedia is,
Yeah, they ain't that old.
yeah, I mean,
Or that
those
young.
that know what an encyclopedia is understand
Yeah.
that your encyclopedia, even though you had it and it might be new, it might be from
It was always
10
gonna be
years ago.
outdated.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
10, 12, 15 years or
Yeah.
whatever. So, yeah, we just, the amount of information that you can get now, and that's why I feel like our generation is a lot more educated about it now, just because we want to know that information, because we didn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't available to us as readily as it is now. I mean, information is so much information is out there now. I mean, that you can just like, oh my God, is that?
Especially the way the algorithms are set up on social media, because especially YouTube, once you start looking into that on YouTube, I mean, it's the same way on all the social media platforms, but that algorithm kicks in and starts to find what you're interested in, and then you start learning, you know what I'm saying, stuff that you never knew. So, yeah.
When was Civil Rights Act? Was what, 1965,
I can't remember the
mid
exact
1960?
Yeah.
Is when it really started coming up.
Yeah.
What year were you born?
72.
Right. So, so we were growing up while all of this stuff was
changing.
Yeah, while it was just changing and starting to evolve.
The stuff that they all push for.
Yeah, so all of the main stuff, I think, is what, which was also new to our parents. Well,
the change
voting.
was happening.
Yeah, I mean, all of that stuff. So that was what was important at the time that we got. Not, I mean,
a decade.
Yeah, I
later,
don't think that they were looking at it like, oh, we need to let them know about this and they should know about this. Where I think they were trying to let us know what was going on now, what we were able to do, what was being opened up to us, the doors being opened up to us, so that we could, latch on to that,
learn more,
keep on,
pushing,
keep growing, keep pushing, and
then another point of it is, our parents were still living with the remnants of identifying what a black person was, because in their lifetime it went from really nothing to now, black people standing up as a whole. My only concern is that I hope, since there's so much information out there, I hope that the younger generations, I hope the parents, the black parents, the white parents, all parents are putting that idea in their head to learn more, not just about the country, but learn more about people's contributions to it start to understand.
Absolutely. I mean, because you want to know the full. I mean, I feel like now we're able to get the full picture.
Or definitely more of it. Yeah.
Really, like put in fill in blanks, so that it really looks like this is 250 years of America with black, white, Asian. I mean, everywhere you can actually see everybody's contribution, and it's like, if we didn't have those folks, we wouldn't have been able to do this. If we didn't have these people, and it wasn't just one race that did everything,
that made
came up with all the
happen,
ideas,
put in the work.
I mean,
and a lot of people, a lot of racist people have the vision that without white men, the U.S. would not exist, and it's not. It's for some reason they won't allow themselves to understand that everybody was in this pot.
Oh yeah,
everybody, and even with the rules that were created just for white people at that time, there were still inventions. There were still additions to the evolution of the United States.
I will give them this, man. The white men had the idea for an America, and for the democracy, for the freedom and all of that stuff. But in order to build it to where it is and where we are today.
Yeah, but they only had the idea because they came from an established, because they came from an established
right. I mean, in the
monarchy,
and the majority of them jokers that came over didn't have.
Well, in the beginning, they were criminals, or they were either criminals or they were just
that's how Australia
banned.
was.
Australia
was a penal.
Yeah, and it was a way of getting people out so that they could make what they had better. You sound familiar?
Yeah.
All right. When you found out what Juneteenth actually represented, did it change how you looked at American history, or did it change how you looked at your own upbringing?
No, I mean, because I can't. I mean, because I won't blame my upbringing for anything. Because I think that again, they told us what they knew, what was available to them, what as far as my parents' stuff, school was they only taught what was printed in the books and what was allowed
they were
at
allowed
the time.
to teach,
At that time. So no, but did it change my outlook on America? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I mean, every time that I learned something new, as far as if it was a black contribution, the Asian contribution. I mean, it's like, man.
Yeah.
It's like I didn't know that, and I'm still, saying that at 54. Like, I didn't realize that was...
In 2026.
Yeah. I mean, or sitting there just reading something, or, we sitting up, talking or whatever, or we having dinner or something. It's like, I didn't know that,
And
but it's just...
Nikki and I was just talking literally 2 days ago. In 2026, they're still first for Black, for Asian, for Hispanic. They're still first. And I'm not talking first to do something that doesn't matter. I'm talking, remember, Obama 10 years ago, you know what I'm saying? Well, actually, his service, but just knowing that there's still first going on. And to answer the question for me, it did not change how I was brought up. Because just like you, how foolish would it have been to blame your parents on stuff that they didn't even have access to? You know what I'm saying? Like, the whole point of slavery was to keep this group of people dumb, right? And I mean dumb from an academic perspective, right? Because of course we still had common sense. Of course we still had ethics, and standards and values, right? But when you're talking about knowing the contributions of Black people, that was not publicized.
Black people have been in survival mode for so long.
Absolutely.
And that's just, I mean, we can look at it at our parents.
Yeah.
Were in that survival mode where they had the separate water fountains and bathrooms. I mean, the segregation piece of it, where it's like,
yeah.
I mean, and we just missed that.
Yeah,
we just missed that.
A decade, less than a decade out of before we were born.
Yeah.
But I definitely will say you started, and I'll just say that it added value to me as a young Black man, finding out how much Black people actually did, because the way we were brought up educationally, academically, it was we thought that the only contributions we had was slavery. At the end, on the other end of the whip, you know what I'm saying? And so figuring out that we had W.E.B. Du Bois, figuring out that we had the Tuskegee Airmen, figuring out that the Tuskegee, syphilis, sacrifice, murder, whatever you want to call it, stuff like that is happening. That's real information that can not only help you feel more proud about the contributions of your race as a black person, and for us as young black men and black boys. But it also, you started to see the hatred that was really out there, because in Ohio, we didn't have the same feeling that was in a Mississippi or Alabama, right? And so growing up and then seeing pictures of cities and towns celebrating a hanging of a young black man or women or girls or boys, black girls or boys, that hate is now, you start to understand it more. You start to say, good Lord. And then, because when I first heard about the black and white bathrooms, you just think that they just want people segregated, separate, right? And that's one of those things, it's not like it makes sense to you, but it's a word that you can understand, right? But then when you start to find out that if a black man was walking down the street and looked a white man in the eyes, that joker could be hung for that. You know what I'm saying? Or a black woman's caught by herself or walking with her husband, unless that husband dies, or even when they died, they could take your wife and rape her and give her back to you. And there's literally nothing you could do about it, because you could fight for her and die, fight for her and lose. But the bottom line is, if they want to rape your wife, your child, your daughter, whatever, there was nothing a black person could do about it. And so by learning all the stuff that was going on and getting real information and real knowledge, it completely changed the scope for me. It completely, it ramped up my anger. That's the first thing. Secondly, it ranked up my disgust, for not the whole race, but for a lot of jokers. It started to let you see that there are people that still walk in those steps and still feel that way. And you could see it in their eyes, and you can hear it in the way they talk to you in the subtle ways. And then on another turn on it is that you get that pride, and you realize how far your ancestors brought you because of the suffering. And when we're talking about suffering, it's real, you know what I'm saying, whipped.
It's the sacrifices.
Oh,
I mean, just
gosh.
to fully appreciate the sacrifices.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you, I asked my father when I was younger, and I remember this. I always remember this. I said, how did you all do that? I mean, the separate bathrooms and water fountains. I said, how did y'all do that, not being able to eat up in the front?
At the bar.
And
having to get your meds from your prescriptions from the back door, not being able to go in hotels in the front door, even if you're the star attraction, the performer for that night.
And he told me, he said that's how things were at that time. That's how we had to live. Yeah. And it's just, and that just was like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? Y'all didn't all raise up? And it's like, no.
It's when it goes back to I hate the saying is, you don't know what you don't know.
You don't.
And when I say that this time, I'm specifically talking about not understanding knowledge, but actions. You know what I'm saying? You didn't look a white man in the eyes back then not because you've done it and you felt the punishment for it that they had, but because your father warned you, your uncles warned you, your friends, because they've seen their friends get beat down. Yeah, absolutely.
Similar to how we tell our kids
about the police
and driving, and when they're going through small towns and things like that. It's like, look, pay attention. Be aware, pay attention. So
this ain't the time. But the way it changed my upbringing is that it made me sad that the world doesn't know this.
Right.
It made me sad, and I'm not just talking about the black people. I'm talking about the world doesn't know these facts. So while we're learning, because now we have all this information, there's an opportunity for everybody to learn.
Well,
but there's still people that
we're
fight
damn
that.
stereotyped around the world.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you don't even know.
You probably never even
walked
met
in my shoes.
Yeah.
So
yeah. But you think you know me.
Yeah. So do you think Juneteenth becoming a national holiday actually increased understanding, or did it mostly increase visibility?
Visibility.
Yep.
Because now everybody knows that word, but I still talk to people of other races, and they'll say, yeah, and then y'all got what's the name? It's not Black History Month. I've had that conversation with somebody, and I'm sitting there looking at them like, this is a national holiday.
Yeah, we didn't get it. It's not just for Black people. So.
But then it starts you to dig a little deeper, and it's like, not the other races, just because, like, for instance, in the Army, as you know, they celebrated these months for all of these races, all of the races, I'm sorry. It was celebrated, and you had the opportunity to go somewhere during a certain month and sit down and hear the history. Yep. Absolutely.
And learn something.
And learn something, yes.
And learn contributions and things like that.
And food and people, famous people and all that stuff. You had that opportunity. And so in the military, it sort of forced you to learn, right? But if they take that out of the military, which I'm not 100% sure they have, but there's been a lot of conversation about it. But I know that just by having a Black History Month does not mean that everybody is focused on learning about the Black history. When they have a Hispanic History Month, I know not everybody is focused and learning, because I don't think the government does enough to sort of force people's hand. Like when we were growing up, they used to have all these cartoons and commercials and segments about laws, about bills, about all that stuff.
School of Rock.
Yeah. But for some reason, they fell short of doing that with highlighting these contributions until either people got in a position to where they were sick of it, white people got in positions where they were sick of it and tried to spread it, or those races got in those positions and started to put it out more. You know what I'm saying? Like, for instance, if you have a Black governor or if you have a Black president, or mayor, the hope is from whatever race that person is that's non-white is that hopefully they're bringing our culture with them and bringing notice, and more of that. So, no, there's I would probably say that if there was math that you could do with it, the percentages that now know more true details about Juneteenth or Black History Month, I don't think it's improved greatly. There are people that want to know. Like I said, there are good people everywhere, and there's horrible people everywhere in every race. And so I believe there are, I call them allies. I know that there are allies of all races that are trying to be better people, you know what I'm saying, trying to learn more, trying to put themselves in a better headspace when it comes to race in this country. But, yeah, it's just more, it's on the calendar now.
That's what I was going to say. I think that the information is out there now, at least.
Yeah.
Whereas before it wasn't out there.
True.
You might hear the name.
True.
But the information is out there for you, and that's the...
and boy, are they fighting to put it back in the box.
Yeah, everything. They're fighting to put back everything that shows that it wasn't just white men that built this country up and did everything, made all of these contributions. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be able to have anything. We wouldn't be able to run we wouldn't be able to have what we have now. Yeah. So, and it's like, dudes, come on. It's all of us here have contributed to the success of
Well, let me ask you this question. Your opinion, right? Why is America so willing to honor and continue to admire Civil War on the South Side people way more than they're willing to have a conversation about W.E.B. Du Bois, and why we can't have a statue of Harriet Tubman standing tall. I'm not talking about locally made. I'm talking about the federal government putting up a statue that is truly represents who.
Because that narrative has been told one way for so many years that has been ingrained in those people that lived there, that was pride. He was standing up for our state. He was standing up for what makes Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, whatever what makes us what we are. I mean, they were standing the narrative was so strong and has been so strong and been the same, hasn't changed. That, I mean, you know, if you hear it and it's taught to you, then you're going to start drinking the Kool-Aid. You
would rather acknowledge and admire a traitor.
But it hasn't been. It hasn't. If the government would come out and say that, I mean, because we know.
Yeah.
That was a treasonous act. What they would, I mean, they were
should have been shot.
Yes, I mean, that was dead. They were all dead wrong for that.
They broke up the country, the United States.
But it was again where we start talking about slavery was the business.
Yeah. Okay.
So we were the North was trying to take away how the South made its money.
Yeah, but I'm going to tell you this, and I'm going to stand on this. The fact that there are military installations and statues and carvings in mountains for people who were clearly against the United States of America, and they are still up or they are being put back up, is, to me, one of the most racist things I've ever heard of. And it's one of the most, I'm going to make up a word, un-United States thing or idea you could possibly have.
Stately.
If you're going to sit there and call yourself a patriot, you're going to call yourself a patriot, and the first thing out of your mouth is Robert E. Lee, you know, or fighting to keep these lies, right, and these wrongs that were to the so many lives were lost.
Yeah, it's like call it and tell it what it was. I mean, because they're telling you to forget who the people were. But during this period of what they chose to, who they chose to follow, what they chose to fight for, you had to tell what that shit truly meant.
Yeah, but don't honor them, man. I'm telling you, I'm of the ilk of, if you have a military base where you expect every United States citizen, no matter what their race is, to volunteer and serve, then every base, every ship, every plant, everything that they've named after those traitors and after known racist people should not exist. This should go away. There should not be a Fort Bragg. There should not be a Fort Lee. I don't care if you find another name. That should go. That is my opinion. And that is horrible. Every day I served, when I became aware, and I became aware because I was going to these Soldier of the Month boards, when I became aware that the people that these bases were named after, that I was stationed on, and the atrocities that they did, not only to my people, but to the country, I felt like the military, I felt like the country didn't give two
Well, man,
shakes
as you
about
think
me.
about it now, it's like they would name a base after Saddam Hussein or Adolf Hitler. I mean, we don't have
What's
none
the
of that.
difference?
It's not. I mean, and that's the thing, and that's what has never been stressed about. The Confederate was a combative opponent against the United States of America government. The United States that we're about to celebrate 250 years.
Well, let's come closer to home. They wouldn't call a base Malcolm X.
No.
And he was born here.
Nope.
And he didn't kill nobody.
Yeah.
They wouldn't call it the Black Panther. They wouldn't name any of Angela Davis. They wouldn't name any of the black so-called labeled terrorists. Mm-hmm. But they call Fort Lee after an in-house terrorist. Come on, man. You gotta be kidding me. All right. Now that I've calmed back down, why do you think certain parts of black history feel optional to teach in America? We sort of touched on it, but but the other part we need to add is, why do you think it's optional black history, right? But why other parts of American history feel like they're mandatory?
Because they want to sell a narrative.
That's
what it is, and that's why some parts are okay to teach, some parts aren't. But the problem now is the internet.
Yeah.
I mean, that is you can fill in
But it's
all
also,
of the blanks, and
it's also we just hyped it up. You know what I'm saying? It's that good old give and take, man.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot more information out now, and I think it's really going to be up to the, generations after us, the kids after us,
to go seek it,
to seek
go
it,
find
and
it. Yeah.
I mean, and I think what we can do while we're still upright and a sound mind,
especially in this,
is try to
platform,
get the news,
keep
spread,
talking about
keep talking about what we
keep
know, and have
keep
hopefully
the conversation
the kids go out.
going.
That's right, keep it going. I had the kids look up some more stuff and teach us some more things too. Inform us, make us smarter about.
So let me ask you a question that's going to make you think. Mm-hmm. If you could fix it, if you could make a call today, and what is a way that you would bring the truth out to people?
To the masses?
Yeah. Or to get it to the masses. I'd put it in school.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only way that you can.
And not as an option.
Yeah, I mean, it would have to be well, I can tell you that and that's where I was fortunate enough. So if you got you're a young person out there, or you're a parent who you want your kids to know a little more about
Black
their history, Black history,
contribution.
send them to a HBCU. Because I can tell you at my HBCU, that was a mandatory class. I went to Howard University in Washington, D.C. So that was a mandatory class.
Yeah, you weren't getting through that college without
getting that. You had to take that. You had to take, that course. I mean, it was many more that you could take. I mean, that was actually a major. If you wanted to
you could make it, yeah.
But it was a lot more you had to take. I mean, that's something that you had to take that would open up your mind. And we had the library there that had all of the books and manuscripts, and I mean, all of those things there that were available to us so that we could actually go and look and read and say, oh, man, because I did not get that. I can tell you that I did not get any of that in high school when I was growing up. That wasn't taught. Yeah. It was the standard.
Across the board.
Yeah.
So my answer to that question is I would, and it's going to cost money, right? But I would start all the way back in elementary. I'm talking kindergarten. And you don't have to go into the depths and details at the early age, but you absolutely can introduce it. You know what I'm saying? And not just introduce it, but you can introduce the fact that Christopher Columbus did not discover. You could put in the books without. I'm talking about. I know that some schools have this stuff in there, but what I'm saying is, and not have a president and his crew push back against it. Right? I'm talking about. I already said Christopher Columbus. I'm talking about the Pilgrims. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about how Westward Ho, did not mean every race. It meant one race. I'm talking about the founding and the building of the United States. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with saying that slaves built the White House and trying to find out the details of that for someone who's never been introduced to it.
Just want an accurate depiction
100%.
of what was going on. I mean, that's just be
or just
truthful.
Show everybody's contribution.
Yeah.
Even if you're not, like I said, I'm talking kindergarten. I'm just saying, put in there that everybody contributed,
Right.
and everybody knows that that's the truth.
Right.
It don't matter who was either lashing or receiving the lashes. The truth is
the truth.
Everybody contributed to this country, not just one race. And putting that in schools is not going to stop our knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, and it's nothing wrong with showing that we did something bad for these years, but at this moment here is where we changed it, and this is how we're getting better, which that's not what we're doing.
And that's the only way it's going to happen is by showing it's us instead of we, you know what I'm saying, or them. We got to stop doing that, because why do I think certain parts of Black history feel optional to teach in America is because it's absolutely controlled. You know what I'm saying? And I'll just go back to my early childhood. When I was growing up as a kid, my memory of the Black Panthers and Malcolm X were that they were terrorists, that they were bad, that they were evil. My parents contradicted that by telling me that the Black Panther, they were a community thing. The national efforts of the Black Panthers was not as large as it was made to be. It was more neighborhood driven, right? And then city driven and stuff like that. And Malcolm X never talked about killing white people, or never talked about let's get 30 people together and go shoot up a Catholic church. None of that was ever said. You know what I'm saying? It was strictly with Malcolm X a disagreement on the process. That's what it was. And then Martin Luther King was sitting there and he saw what anybody who has a clear mind sees, right? If you're able to step back and put your faith in something, you can see, when you get all that madness out of your head, that America is better when everybody's contributing.
Right.
And that's where Martin Luther King came in. Malcolm X was like, if you don't want us here, then give us our land, which we've earned, and give us our own area.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That was what. And you go even further to trying to get Africa, all well, first of all, uncolonized, right? And then getting Africa to start to stand, and then maybe we could all reconnect. Those are the big picture things, but it was never destroy and do something to white people. No. The only thing Malcolm X stood 10 toes down on was self-defense. Yep. If them jokers going to come at you with a knife, you have a knife. They're going to come at you with a gun, you have a gun.
And pride in your race. I mean, and it's nothing
and that's
wrong
what
with,
all of them taught.
Yeah, I mean, and I still feel like it's like that today, whereas if you feel prideful or you want to you try to push things to uplift folks in your race, folks that look like you, then you're radical, or you don't care about, you must be racist. And it's like, that's not it.
But here's another thing that I don't understand, right? There are other races in this country, right, besides black people. And each race, to include white people, they're drawn to themselves, right? Mm-hmm. The only difference that I see is that when black people want to stick together, when black people want to grow and make the world better and safer for their descendants, it's with a pure heart, caring about making your child's and your grandchildren's life easier, right? And it's that way for every race. But when white people start talking about their pride and their stuff, it always seems to be linked to hate. You know what I'm saying?
Feel like somebody's going to take something from them.
But it's just so angry all the time.
I know, that's what I'm saying, because it's like, that's not...
You know what I'm saying? I don't have a problem with white people hanging out, but I have a problem with white people hanging out when they're talking about killing black people, or when they're trying to figure out, or when they're trying to figure out how to continue to crap on black people, or when they're trying to keep education from black people, or when they are killing DEI because they think it's giving other races a leg up, instead of understanding, like we've talked about 1,000 times, DEI is not meant to single out anyone. It's meant to broaden the pool and get better. That's the whole point.
Get you more ideas from different perspectives, from different folks.
Black people are not always going to be the best lawyers. They're not always going to be the best doctor. They're not always going to be the best president or whatever. But sometimes we will be. Sometimes other races will be. Yeah. We still ain't had an other race president. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Outside of black. Yeah. You know, so I mean, it's just, I mean, and
it's funny, but I feel like the attitude and the way that I feel like we've been pushed into that mindset is like, I got to be better. I got to be better. So Absolutely. It's like, it's part of that, you know,
problem.
Yeah. Why?
Yeah.
You know, we have some folks that excel at, just because it's like that's just been put in our head. Absolutely. That I have to be better than this person because otherwise I won't be able to.
Yeah. Or give up. Yeah. And that's why you have some black men and women that 10-toe stand in it and try their best to be perfect. And guess what? That's mental trauma. It's
exhausting.
Exhausting, right?
It's exhausting.
But then you also have black men and women that just look up and say, what's the use? You know what I'm saying? Why should I go do this when I can go do this, stay in my neighborhood, make this money, whatever? You know, so it's you're right. The way the United States has been, it's forced us, and I mean us as Americans, to adapt. Mm-hmm. And sometimes those options to adapt to or into are not good options. No. Or not the best option, no. I guess. So, yeah, I'm with you, man. Huh. But I would say mandatory history should be history that includes everybody that's in it, that tells the truth. Mm-hmm. And like I said, if you want to get, it's just like anything else. If I want to know a little bit, then a little bit can be given to you. If I want to know more, then I can get more, right? But it shouldn't all be this race did everything.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not eliminating
this one race,
anybody from the history
Absolutely.
books, but it's telling the truth
Absolutely.
about, and then and you might be adding some names that you've been deleting for years, but it's like, just tell the truth about it.
Just think about Native Americans right now. And I'm just talking about my knowledge and memory of Native Americans growing up. They were either the bad people who scalped people, right?
The villains.
Or the villains, or the people that would that were causing trouble and not allowing the United States to grow. And then they turned into, the Native Americans turned in, we gave them this land, so they have these
alcoholics.
But I had no idea, you know what I'm saying? So when I'm a kid and I'm thinking that Native Americans were given land, it makes you, it's a good feeling, you know what I'm saying? It's like, well, at least the government had a little bit of a heart. And then you find out that they're struggling over there, just like any ghetto. You know what I'm saying?
They gave you land, but they give you the crappiest land. And
they force you to pick sides. You know what I'm saying? Because for you to become the hierarchy on that land, you have to, and we say it, sell out to get selected, because they're not going to pick the realest one. You know what I'm saying? So you've got the hierarchy with 1 foot in the white world and the 1 foot on the where they are, and you're just like, that ain't working. And then the casino thing happens, and now you hear everybody getting mad because the casinos are making all this money tax-free, and now the government's trying to see how they can get in on that or take it back. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and I'm just pointing that out because it ain't just the black people that this country continues to crap on and hold down, but still some people from these races find themselves in that Confederate side of things.
We just talk about the black race because that's what we...
Yeah. And another comment that surprised me that just came to my head was every race that is in the United States, I think there's a feeling that everything's okay unless black people are no longer last, and whatever group is now last has a problem. So if black people climb the ladder, every other race in the United States has a problem because now they feel like they have a problem because now they're seen as the worst. So every other race can look and say, if we're talking military, can look to the left and always feel confident that the black people are going to be less than them. And that rocked me when I thought about that. It's like, it's just crazy. But
what stands out after this conversation is realizing how much of life you can live before you discover parts of your own history. That's hard to sit with sometimes because Tommie and I aren't young men.
Facts.
We went through school, served our country, raised families, and still realizing how much of black history we either never learned or barely understood. But conversations like this matter because once you know better, you have a responsibility not to let the silence continue. And maybe the real value of Juneteenth isn't just the holiday itself. Maybe it's the conversations it forces people to really have. So until next time, y'all, let's keep the conversation going.